don't have heroes in that sense, especially not heroes who are politicians, right? AOC is going to fuck up. She's going to do things that you disagree with. She's going to do things that you will perceive as being corporate sellouts. She's going to do the opposite of what you want at certain given times. And every single time that happens, if you have this person hoisted up like a deity, you're going to think that God herself has betrayed you. Hath I been denied? Like, what is going on? I put my faith in you, and now you hath forsaken me. Oh, Mo, my queen no more. Now you are Satan?
The responsibility falls squarely on those that invaded the Capitol, the ones that planned it ahead of time. Those are the people that should be held accountable. I was in the chamber, unlike AOC.
Oh, shit.
Representative Ocasio-Cortez.
Shade has been thrown.
Faked her outrage with another hoax. Just another hoax that gets shared everywhere. You see, those kind of fake lies, like AOC, Representative Cori Bush telling people that I attacked her when in fact it was on video that she attacked me. This is the kind of fake outrage that is dividing our Congress, along with the fake outrage on the news every single day that's dividing our people. You know what the media does, and you guys are great at it. And I'm telling you this because I want to like you. But you're doing a really good job at addicting our nation to hate. Teaching people to hate people like me, President Trump. And then on the right, it's the same way. Teaching.
I mean, that's an odd thing to say, because you've been peddling in conspiracy theories since day one. Many of them very deeply anti-Semitic. You've been kind of teaching people to hate Jewish people. Which, I mean, is a time-honored tradition. It's as old as it gets. So, I mean, there is that. Although I didn't think this was going to happen. I didn't think she was going to bring up the AOC thing in whatever you can consider this speech to be. Gibberish, mostly utter gibberish. But that's going to be a good segue. That's going to be a good segue into the entire conversation about AOC. Yesterday, we watched a little bit of Tim Pool's recent special about how Tim Pool was stating that apparently AOC is lying. Oh, well, hello, Raiders. Welcome in, everybody. We're just about to talk about the great, amazing AOC lie that is being peddled around all corners of the internet. It's wonderful to have y'all here. We're about to listen to it. Apparently, AOC's story was a complete fabrication. They've got the facts, the figures, whether it be Tim Pool and his magical beanie, Steven Crowder and his magical Glock. I don't really know. Does he have other accessories? He just basically carries like a weapon around his shoulder at all times. We're going to talk about that. We're gonna debunk it. We're gonna get through it all. You know, we're gonna do every piece. Reza Zutra, thank you very much for gifting a tier 1 sub. Appreciate it. And we're gonna talk about space lasers. We're gonna talk about space lasers and their effects and what it all means. What it all means for the future.
In an emotional testimony on Thursday, U.S. Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez led fellow Democrats in recalling their traumatizing experiences of the deadly Capitol riots on January 6th. Speaking on the House floor, she doubled down on calls for Republican politicians, including her own colleagues, to be held accountable for the attack.
Less than 29 days later, with little to no accountability for the bloodshed and trauma of the 6th, some are already demanding that we move on, or worse, attempting to minimize, discredit, or belittle the accounts of survivors.
Representative Dean Phillips of Minnesota said, out of fear for their safety that day, he had screamed to his colleagues to follow him to the Republican side of the floor.
For I felt that the insurrectionists who were trying to break down the doors right here would spare us if they simply mistook us for Republicans. But within moments, I recognized that blending in was not an option available to my colleagues of color. So I'm here tonight to say to my brothers and sisters in Congress and all around our country, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. For I had never understood, really understood, what privilege really means.
Representative Rashida Tlaib of Michigan, who is a Muslim, recounted how the riots reminded her of death threats she received on her very first day as a congresswoman.
I didn't even get sworn in yet. when someone wanted me dead for just existing. More came later, uglier, more violent. One celebrating and writing the New Zealand massacre and hoping that more would come. Another mentioning my dear son, Adam. And so I urge my colleagues to please take what happened on January 6th seriously. It will lead to more death, and we can do better. We must do better.
No Republicans participated in Thursday's testimonies, which came shortly after the House voted to remove controversial lawmaker Marjorie Taylor Greene from 2 high-profile committees. Greene, a Republican, has come under fire for her history of inflammatory remarks, including supporting violence against Democrats.
Yeah, didn't she like a post that said that she's okay with Nancy Pelosi getting murdered? Okay, so before I go into a fact check thing, I've noticed that some people have really taken this as the current, most important thing to discuss. That person being Tim Pool. Tim Pool has been on a firestorm of, let's just say, investigation. Tim Pool, by the way, who is fine platforming the Proud Boys, fine platforming the Boogaloo Boys, brings them on, talks about how, there's no one gets the memes. Tim Pool has basically sanitized so much alt-right shit over the years. It's got to be if we drew up the pipeline thing, here. I don't know if this is going to be against TOS. It probably is. I probably shouldn't do this. Okay. Now we're ready for real. Okay, let's see how best I can do this. Oh, this is not very accurate. Maybe that's better, because now it won't be Okay. Sorry, it's been a while since I've tried to draw a human centipede. I think I'm getting pretty close to perfection here. Yeah, okay, now we got a human, even though I'm way off base, these people are getting. But anyways, if this little morsel of food up here happens to be, let's say, Richard Spencer. Okay, so that doesn't say ass. That's supposed to be an RS. This whole thing is completely falling apart. Okay, but let's just say this is Richard Spencer, and this little morsel here. This is the OK meme. So this is the white power symbol being the OK symbol. All right. That gets fed into what I'm assuming here would be, say, 4chan. Okay, so 4chan ingests it. And then once 4chan receives the information, it has to be sanitized, and that's where Tim Pool comes in. So this is where Tim fits in. So let's put a little beanie on. So now Tim Pool has taken the OK power symbol, and now it's gonna come out here, sanitized. And now it's ready for mass distribution, because it's just a joke for the lulz. Does everyone understand? Media Matters tries to include me in the hit piece about AOC, but they put up a clip of me praising her social media savvy while criticizing Trump for bringing up the negativity on himself. Guys, what are you doing? AOC is lying. This is a lie. The Cannon Building, 1:01 p.m. Congress remains sessions to 2:30. House did not evacuate chamber 2:30. Not to mention AOC was not in the Capitol building. Why did AOC think she was going to die the hour before? I believe the AOC is using hindsight to create. I don't believe it was the first report came in. And AOC is using the details she learned in the 60th motion. At 1:01 p.m. the building was out security per case 11 minutes. AOC was evacuated from her. It seems like this evacuation was due to a bomb scare. I deleted my previous story about AOC and the evacuation because I made a mistake on the timeline and events. So then he restarted and started the whole process again here. Anyways, when I say that Tim Pool usually sanitizes a lot of this alt-right shit, it's because he does. Whether it's the OK symbol, whether it's the Pepe the Frog memes, the clown symbol, for example, he'll come on and then he'll be like, you don't understand. These are jokes. They're jokes for the lulz. You don't get it. That's because you're not tapped into internet culture like myself. Now, after AOC made that statement, that hour-and-a-half Instagram, basically first-hand account of what she felt she had gone through, also revealed some very personal information about how she had been a victim of sexual assault, and then laid out her story about how she felt frightened, scared, all the events that happened. A whole bunch of people have now come out and done what they've considered a fact check. So they've been like, well, actually, AOC lied about the entire thing, so let's go through it. I was just starting to get a feel for that yesterday when we watched a little bit of Tim Pool. I hadn't actually taken the time myself to do a fact check of all of it, but it's still going on. I don't know if this is because it's a slow news day. No one really wants to talk about Yemen, so it's like, let's keep talking about AOC.
I bring you now to Twitter. Number one United States trend. Alexandria Ocasio-Smollett.
And Bender.
And number
Thanks for
3 is Kyle
spending.
Rittenhouse. We'll get into that later.
Oh, yeah.
Which is, it's a crazy day, I guess, all filled with all sorts of drama. But here's the actual big news from Red State. AOC wasn't even in the Capitol building during her near-death experience.
Which, she never said she was. I had to go review it. I had to go through it, and I was like, oh yeah, man. That's true. That's a huge gaffe. Bad move, AOC. But then after going through it again, yeah, she never stated that she was in the Capitol building. Now, Red State being the far-right organization, media outlet, they go through that. They go through a whole bunch of Jack Pacific tweets. We watched a little bit of this yesterday. They pull up the maps. They got maps, everybody. They pull up the maps and show this is the distance between this. Katie Porter's office is over here. AOC was originally here. So AOC went from here to here, but that's not here. As you can see from the third arrow pointed out, this is where the U.S. Capitol is. Well, big distance from the two events over here. So clearly we've been doing some fact checking.
Different building.
Now, it wasn't just Tim Pool, Stephen Crowder, Ben Shapiro, all of them took their turns.
Before we move on to everything that is factually incorrect, and there's been some misinformation out there because some people have been rebutting facts that she never actually claimed. Fair game, we need to accept responsibility. The whole Capitol, right? People who went into the Capitol, separate from that. This is separate from AOC. We learned our lesson. Dave, you know now that the Capitol Mall is not the right place to host your Natural Born Killers quotathon. Look, we now know better.
It's a fun event, and if it wasn't for me, you would be still slanging hash in that shit house and banging your boss.
I see what he did there.
Oh, sorry, gotta skip to the humor.
Early in the 90-minute video, but use it as a bait and switch to later on try and do like a soap opera cliffhanger and say, and it turns out it was the cops. So this is not the most relevant portion of information, but it's what everybody is circulating. That being said, she did do us the favor of doubling down on that lie in another report. So it still is relevant. But here's her saying, oh, got you.
And I come out, and this man is a Capitol police officer. But the story doesn't end.
And there was the hook on the door.
But wait. Is she going to devil?
No, this is totally what you'd expect from, like, you know, the right-wing ghoulosphere. It was a little unusual to see it coming from a lot of people on the left as well. I mean, Glenn Greenwald was mocking her for this. Jimmy Dore was mocking her for this. Peter Coffin has been trying to out-tweet Tim Pool. I'm not sure if they are going one for one with Tim Pool tweets, but they're both pushing the whole AOC lied narrative. They go through the same fact-checking series of events that everyone has been doing, and it's getting everyone the fun of having to look up where everything is in location and in relativity to everything. So the protesters, yes, were entering here. AOC's office was here. Katie Porter's was here. The distance between these being, yes, walking distance. Also, to those unfamiliar, including myself, I didn't know this, there are underground connections between all these places. I don't know if their original intent was to be able to easily walk through this without having public interference, but these are all interconnected through a series of tunnels, hallways, pathways near the underground sections of them. That's only important because, again, people are claiming that there was just the reason that this is all lies because AOC effectively was not in that place at that time, right? I just want to skip to the crux of this all.
So not that you couldn't have it, but because people think they need things that they don't necessarily need. And that's a big underlying issue with AOC. And let me show you some inconsistency here. Again, she doesn't understand that the internet is forever, largely because I don't think she knows that she's hitting record. It's the button that says play, sweetheart, where it's always been. It was Congressman Mumu said that AOC was just saying, I just hope I get to be a mom. I don't want to die, which honestly breaks my heart. Here's her saying that.
And she said, I just hope I get to be a mom. I hope I don't die today.
Did I buy that inflatable projector screen from Sky Mall?
Did I play the
Well, I'm just going to, I'm going to guess that their interpretation of this is going to be a class act all around.
I mean, it was Hamacher Schlemmer. And then AOC, but here's the thing, that's sad to me.
Yeah, it is.
But AOC has toxified many young women for years, for decades to come, by selling them the lie that it may be morally unacceptable for women to have children due to her raison d'etre.
Citation needed there. She has shamed them, saying it's not morally acceptable to have kids. Is that it? Or as she said, what most modern, I'd say, humans like to push forward, that women aren't birth vessels. Maybe that's it. That women aren't walking birth vessels for your pleasure. That they can have a choice in the matter. That they could choose whether or not they want to have kids. Some people might not want to have kids at all. Some people do, and AOC is one of them. But all women don't have to be trad wives. That might be a little bit closer, I think, to what they were going for.
Climate change. Here she is.
Basically, like, there's scientific consensus that the lives of children are going to be very difficult. And it does lead, I think, young people to have a legitimate question.
No, you lead them.
Is it okay to still have children? Also, just this.
So I'm not one of the youngs, unfortunately. I'm more of a how do you do, fellow kids kind of age. But I will tell you that existential dread is well felt amongst many members of my community well before AOC came on the scene. That's been a thing for a while. That's been a thing before I even knew who AOC was. The whole climate change is real. We're not really doing any of the things we need to do to stop it. If you want to have kids, I hope you understand that your great grandchildren might live in a Mad Max-esque hellscape. That's been a thing for a long. That's not new. AOC didn't bring that about. It wasn't like AOC popped on the scene and then all of a sudden people were like, "Oh wow, should I or should I not have kids?" Yes, this is a question.
This basic moral question, like, what do we do? And even if you don't have kids, there are still children here in the world, and we have a moral obligation to them.
How dare she?
How are you fulfilling your moral obligation? By spending my money on new infrastructure with a 5-page deal that takes over 60% of the economy? Sweetheart, honestly, what are you doing for the children?
I don't think she's doing it. And maybe she had a moment of clarity at the end. Maybe she was really afraid. I highly doubt all of this, but maybe she had a moment.
Wow, conflicting. They're having a bit of trouble mincing how they're exactly going to approach this, eh? Wait, maybe it's because she saw God, or maybe it's because she experienced a revelation of some sorts. That's why she wanted to have children. Maybe she didn't make the whole thing up. Maybe traumatic events are real. Maybe people do experience trauma. Maybe people experience PTSD as well, especially if they're a sexual assault survivor. And in the moment, even if she wasn't literally in the Capitol building, seeing what was going on in the Capitol building, combined with the fact that numerous people want her dead, maybe that was a little bit scary as well. Not sure.
No, I think she did have a moment of clarity.
Maybe I could survive today and be a mother. That's fantastic. Run with that.
Yeah.
That's life.
And make sure you tell your constituents.
Exactly. You can still have the job of being a congresswoman. Just do it better.
And you know what? You can still have your Coyote Ugly tabletop dance. No one's going to stop you from doing that as a mom.
That's yours.
It's a genre. You were about to say something there.
Oh, I was just saying that she's always asking a question.
When do the jokes and the funny start? We've watched Crowder before, and I'm always just sitting there and I want to watch someone watching Crowder who loves Steven Crowder. That to me would be neat. I want to see how much they laugh at each one of these like punchlines and bits, and like does it really land, or is it just a participation thing? Is it just like there's nothing else? What else do we have? Dave Rubin? He doesn't even do stand up anymore. Paul Joseph Watson? He's confused. He's very, very confused. At the best of times, he's confused. So who else is there? I guess Joe Rogan doing stand-up every now and then. All the stand-up comedy specials. I guess they have the cancel culture like stand-up specials, but even those are usually done by liberal comedians who are just kind of fed up with the fact that everyone's like, hey, stop saying the R slur, you know?
And we also have kids here, and there's children on Earth. And
is she making a sandwich as well? Like she's walking around
she's cooking.
Camera?
Like you're saying, we can't have kids. Oh yeah, there's kids on Earth. She put...
When did she say you can't have kids? When did she say that? She told you the sentiment that a lot of younger people are feeling. Like it's kind of a scary idea to have kids when you know that we're not doing anything in the present about how bad the future is going to be. I think that's kind of universal. That was probably felt well before climate change. I mean, that same sentiment was felt by people generations older than me. What were people thinking during the Cold War? During the Cold War, when we were doing like a nuclear arms race, when the two world superpowers were like, how many nuclear bombs can we stack up? And people were actually building nuclear bunkers underneath their houses as if that was going to do anything. But they were packing all the beans they could underneath the bunker, thinking any day we could die. I'm pretty sure they might have had some existential dread about having kids or for their kids. Being like, yeah, it's kind of scary. What future are they going to grow up in if we drop the bomb? What's that going to be like when the bombs get dropped and the entire upper levels are nuclear wasteland? not really thinking to the fact that it's going to annihilate all life on Earth, but still, I'm guessing that would have been pretty shitty. Probably thinking the same thing. Now, I'm not going to make you suffer through the Ben Shapiro one, the exact same stuff, the Jack Pacific stuff, exact same things. Every right-wing person, media personality on the internet right now is basically saying the same thing. AOC lied. We have definitive proof. She was not in the Capitol building. Let's look at it. Now, let me quickly say 2 things, 3 things, 12 things, okay? There is an enormous cult of personality surrounding some figures on the left. AOC probably is the biggest one. It's got to be like Greta Thunberg in her prime versus AOC now, like just people who worship and idealize these people as if they're gods. Stop that. Don't do that. That's a terrible idea, okay? These are humans. There's fallible as you and me. Everybody poops. Whatever you got to hear. Don't have heroes in that sense, especially not heroes who are politicians, right? AOC is going to fuck up. She's going to do things that you disagree with. She's going to do things that you will perceive as being corporate sellouts. She's going to do the opposite of what you want at certain given times. And every single time that happens, if you have this person hoisted up like a deity, you're going to think that God herself has betrayed you. Hath I been denied? Like, what is going on? I put my faith in you, and now you hath forsaken me. Oh no, my queen no more. Now you are Satan. You like, so that's kind of the problem with making these people into monstrously huge infallible people. AOC has done some shitty things, and AOC is probably going to continue to do shitty things. She's done wonderful things as well, like most human beings. That's just kind of the gist. We're both angels and devils. We're really shitty people. Some people are more shitty than others. Some people are always shitty, and that's unfortunate. A couple of them are on screen right now. But either way, don't look towards these people as gods on earth kind of idea. Now, that being said, I want to do some quick, let's take a look-see at some of the things. And I know I'm going to get hit by using a CNN link, but of the 3 different places I went to for sources on this one actually summarized the entire thing, including the things that AOC, yes, did get wrong. Democratic Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez of New York has been mocked and criticized by Republicans and conservatives over a vivid story she told on Instagram Live on Monday. Calling into question Ocasio-Cortez's Instagram remarks about fearing for her life during the insurrection, conservative commentator and activist Candace Owens tweeted Wednesday that people should please never forget the time that AOC staged a photo shoot dressed all in white at a parking lot to spread lies about immigrant children in cages. Owens' false claims were debunked in 2019 when they were made by others. Ocasio-Cortez didn't stage a phony photo shoot. She was photographed by photojournalists as she participated in the 2018 protests on a road outside a tent-city shelter in Texas, and was used to detain migrant children, including some of the Trump administration had prepared and separated from their parents. While the protesters, many of whom wore all white, were not permitted to walk right up to the tents at the Tornillo facility, it is inaccurate to say they were at a parking lot. Ocasio-Cortez made the trip in Texas days before she became a national name, defeating high-ranking incumbent Congressman, Democratic primary for New York. Ocasio-Cortez location. Owens is not the only conservative media figure to mock or challenge Ocasio-Cortez's account of being scared for her life during the insurrection. Some of the critics have pointedly noted that Ocasio-Cortez was in her office in the Cannon House building at the time, not in the Capitol itself. These claims from Ocasio-Cortez critics leave out the context. First, the Cannon building is connected to the Capitol via an underground walkway that is frequently used by legislators, aides, journalists, and others. The Cannon building is considered part of the Capitol complex. Secondly, Ocasio-Cortez did not mislead about where she was during the insurrection. She explicitly explained on Instagram Live that her office is in a building near the Capitol. Third, the Capitol Police instructed people to evacuate the Cannon building amid the Capitol attack. That was all clear, was announced less than an hour after the evacuation announcement. Fourth, a pipe bomb was found that day outside of the office in the Republican National Committee, which is just down the street from the Cannon building. Google Maps puts the walking distance between the two buildings at 260 feet. 260 feet. As the Capitol complex was stormed and people were being killed, none of us knew in the moment where, what areas were compromised. So again, if you've never been in a chaotic situation, and that's a good thing. That's a good thing. If you've never been in an area that is getting tear gassed, pepper sprayed, maced, if you've never been in somewhere where there is actual calamity, where human beings, thousands of them, are running and screaming in opposite directions, if you don't know the paralyzing fear of chaos, it might be very, very difficult to relate to any of this, to relate to someone saying, I feared for my life. And I feared for my life. I wasn't literally in the environment where I would have died, where if I was there, I would be dead now, but I was still fearing for my life. That's not inaccurate to say. And that's a totally valid thing to say. That's a completely normal reaction to those kind of events. Mace, a South Carolina congresswoman, appeared to challenge Ocasio-Cortez claims about what happened at the Cannon building. I'm 2 doors down from AOC and no insurrectionists stormed our hallway. Ocasio-Cortez's response to Mace noted that Mace told a newspaper in January that she had barricaded herself in her office during the attack. Mace then responded, fact check. I have not once discounted your fear. We were all terrified that day. I'm stating the fact that insurrectionists were never in our hallway because they weren't. I deal in facts, unlike you apparently. That one's kind of funny. Mace's fact checked is misleading. Ocasio-Cortez never said the insurrectionists were in their hallway. Rather, Ocasio-Cortez's story, telling the story on Instagram, said she had been scared that day by a man in her office and she thought that was a rider, but it turned out to be a Capitol Police officer. She said the officer had not initially identified himself as a member of law enforcement, but had been shouting, "Where is she?" and looked at her with a tremendous amount of anger and hostility. Mace might have been confused because some journalists' initial tweets about Ocasio-Cortez's Instagram story did not correctly convey what Ocasio-Cortez had said about the police officer she had seen and thought was a rioter, even though Ocasio-Cortez had. While rejecting the accusation that she was exaggerating the threats to her safety, Ocasio-Cortez tweeted on Wednesday, "The bombs Trump supporters planted surrounded our offices too. The assertion that Trump supporters planted bombs has not been proved. We don't yet know the identity or the motivation of the person the FBI believes to place pipe bombs outside the offices of the Republican National Committee and the Democratic National Committee the night before the insurrection. The FBI is seeking information on a suspect whose appearance was obscured by a face mask and a hooded sweatshirt." Ted Cruz's role. This is the one that I think Ocasio-Cortez probably was the most factually incorrect about, simply because to state that you tried to have me killed is a different assertion than you led to the general atmosphere that galvanized people and got them so angry to the point where they actually stormed the Capitol, many of whom already wanted me dead. That would probably have been more accurate. It's not as flashy a tweet. It's not as quick. It's not as clever. So that's where that lands, right? But let's see. Senator Ted Cruz tweeted last week that he agreed with Ocasio-Cortez criticizing the Robinhood stock trading app company and floated the idea of a congressional committee hearing. Ocasio-Cortez responded, "I'm happy to work with Republicans on this issue where there's common ground, but you almost had me murdered 3 weeks ago, so you can sit this one out. Happy to work with any other GOP that aren't trying to get me killed. In the meantime, if you want to help, you can resign." Like, fucking hilarious, by the way. That tweet. Like, I burst out laughing when I saw that because it's like, oh damn, you going for the jugular. That one's actually pretty funny. However, not true. Not true, okay? There is no evidence for the accusation that Cruz was trying to get Ocasio-Cortez killed. While Ocasio-Cortez can mount a reasonable argument that Texas Republicans' actions had the effect of fueling violent insurrection, which I completely agree with, that's different than saying he was actually trying to achieve the killing of any member of Congress. Cruz did not advocate violence against Ocasio-Cortez, much less call for her murder. There is a distinction between Ocasio-Cortez's 2 accusations in that tweet. Her claim that Cruz almost had me murdered can perhaps be defended as a subjective argument about the impact of Cruz's behavior. Anyways, one of the reasons I chose CNN is because CNN is obviously no friend to the Soc Dems, no friend to Ocasio-Cortez for the large part. So I figured that would be one of those fact-checking organizations that at least on that side. But I know a lot of people also despise CNN. CNN's ratings are in the tank. They are centrist at the best of times. But can we just lay this all out there before this thing gets completely out of control? Yeah, CNN definitely is the centrist news network. No question about that. But when it comes down to all this, Ocasio-Cortez gave these accounts. Ocasio-Cortez, if you want to say, was being manipulative. That's well within your purview to do. I think you're totally allowed to say Ocasio-Cortez is utilizing her large platform to gain social favor. That statement in and of itself is an opinion, and it's your opinion, but that's completely fine for you to make. If you're then going to say she lied, Ocasio-Cortez lied. She lied about being in the Capitol building. She lied when the attack occurred. She lied that there were insurrectionists about to abduct her. She lied that she had to hide somewhere and that she got a loud bang and then one of the insurrectionists was trying to get in. No, right now you're lying. You're lying because at the end of the day, she never said that she was directly in the Capitol building. She never said that an insurrectionist was the one that scared her. She was very clear about that it was actually a police officer. She was just telling you her POV of what she felt in terms of terror. And that is totally valid. I mean, people want to say that she's making that up. That's on you. If you want to say that I'm talking about making up the trauma. If you want to say that she's faking trauma, that she's making up trauma, if you want to claim that she never experienced sexual assault, if you want to claim that she's utilizing her story of sexual assault to color in the trauma and make it sound worse, that is all on you. And then it's on me to tell you that you're a horrible person because that's my opinion. Like that's how that works. That's the great freedom of speech. You can have a shitty opinion and I can say, hey, your opinion's shitty and you're a shitty person for it. But neither of us can say something that is not factual suddenly is. That's the biggest difference, right? Let's just leave it there.
My name's Dutiful from the left-wing YouTube channel and podcast Dutiful Future, and today I'm bringing you a very serious message. I'm here to tell you why you should be subscribed to the Dutiful Future YouTube channel. First of all, the podcast is a guest-based show where we've had on politicians, journalists, and left-wing content creators alike. I also make videos with two very distinct themes. The first of these is the more jokey side, with videos such as the 2020 Conservative Cringe Compilation, Election Edition, Laughing at Liberty Hangout, as well as laughing at unironic monarchists. And then the other side of my channel is more focused on politics and philosophy, with videos such as Exploring Champagne Socialism, my personal favourite, the influences on Marx, as well as Democracy, an Alcoholic Introduction, and a bunch more to come. If this video has piqued your interest and you want to find out more, we are Dutiful Future on YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Spotify, Apple Podcast, and any other medium that you may consume your content. And yeah, thanks so much for watching. Hope to see you soon.
If you want us to advertise your channel or work, please go to weareserfs.com and email us a 20 to 30 second ad, and we'll take it on to the end of one of our videos to help promote your leftist channel or progressive something. Whatever you do.
To our gods, I'm Raph, Xander Corvus, and Schlatsky. We shall build golden idols in your honor. To our monarch, Tom Spiker, you have our undying fealty. To our lords, Jeffrey Lamb, Trevor R., Hans Josephin, C. Bartlett, Jimothy K. Meeple Beeps Jr., Bisexual Black Gamer, and Trofox, we shall carry your banners onto the battlefield. To our Knights of the Round Table, Josh Mickelson, Dylan Byte, Zach Christensen, Todd Buckingham, Todd Lajeunesse, Political Puppy, Jimmy Bignuts, Andreas Chitoro, Good Poon Hates Cops, That's Solid Poon Then, Dr. Zayas, Yoppie, Violent Orchard, Sophie Baby, Thomas Barrington, J. Fraser Cartwright, Goofalankius, Melissa Murphy, Nicholas Marks, Alexander Thaler, Ali Rada Jafer, Alex Gauvin, Radical Maniac, The Great Pudini, and Callie Kotka. We salute you.